It's the only thing that's going to help you to get through life. When people say you can't, you have to say, I can. And like I said, if you build it around your purpose, then it'll get you out of bed in the morning. But you will get being an entrepreneur. And look, I've never been anything else but an entrepreneur. So I know that journey very, very well. It's tough, people will tell you you can't many more times than tell you you can.
Hello, and welcome to another great show of the 24 Hour Boss podcast. At 11 years old, my guest today told her mom that she was tired of school and ready to quit. To which her mom replied, "So, what are you going to do with your life?" To which she replied, "I'm going to be as big as Oprah Winfrey." But believe it or not, my guest did get pretty famous. And actually, at 15 years old, she quit school and started 3 successful businesses as an entrepreneur. And after running her third successful business for 17 years, she walks away from it all because she feels she wasn't fulfilling her true purpose. My guest today is Linzi Boyd of the UK. She is founder of One Earth, author, global speaker, and she also recently created her own board game. On today's episode, Linzi shares with us her journey and why it's important to believe in yourself and stay focused. What a way to end the year and a way to start the new year. Let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Her journey and entrepreneur, being a serial entrepreneur, and just a lot of more stuff. So, Linzi Boyd, welcome to the 24 Hour
Thank you
Boss
so
podcast.
much for having me on today. I'm delighted to be on your show.
I am excited to have you. It's definitely been a pleasure to get you on, and I'm glad you're finally here. And I guess first, I just want to maybe you can just kind of, I guess first for our audience, you can tell us where you are exactly in the UK.
Oh, I'm in a beautiful place called Barnes in London, which is south of the river. Although it's a bit chilly at the moment, being early December, and we're heading on to the Christmas season.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Actually, I had some ladies that I interviewed some probably a year ago. So they were in Lincolnshire of the UK. We talked about women in tech and imposter syndrome. So that was a great episode. But I'm glad to have you as well here from the UK. So
Thank you.
yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you accepting the invite. And I guess first I would like to ask in regards to you. So I was reading on your website and it says that at 11 years old, you talked with your mom and you were just, I guess, frustrated with school and you were like done with it. And so you tell your mom, "Hey, I'm done with school. I'm tired of this." And your mom asks like, "Hey, what are you going to do?" And your response, I guess, if you could just elaborate on. I'm trying to figure out what was going on at 11, and then like what were you thinking at 11, and like what was your plans?
Oh look, I stood in the kitchen with my mum at 11 years of age, and even though I was pretty bright at school, I felt like the way that they taught you in school was very think based, and I'm more kind of feel and know. And so I stood in the kitchen and I said, "Oh, mum, I think I want to leave school." And my mum was like, what are you going to do with your life? And I'm like, well, I think I'm going to be as big as Oprah Winfrey. And I think I saw something in Oprah at that very young age that was kind of, nowadays you would say philanthropic or impactful or, conscious on some level and so forth. And I really got inspired by Oprah,
Yeah,
that she was out there doing kind of impactful things. And at a very, very young age of 11, I kind of saw something in her, and I had this knowing in my stomach that I could go and do something different to make a positive change in the world. And so actually at 15, I left school with no qualifications and decided that I was going to go on my entrepreneurial journey and set my first business up at 18 years of age.
wow, yeah, and I saw that as well. That you leave school at 15 and you start your entrepreneur journey. That is a bold move. Um, I definitely was not that bold to do something like that. I wasn't even thinking about being an entrepreneur at that age. But I guess that's something maybe you can elaborate on, like how did you, I guess, come to that conclusion, like to leave school and then to be so bold to get on your entrepreneur journey, like, and then and of course also, you start one business, which was, I believe, Stride, and then you start a third business, which is the surgery group, and of course now we'll talk about your final business that you're at now. But how did you go from being 15 to being an entrepreneur? How did that come about?
So I was always passionate about fashion. Both sides of my business were tailors. You know, both grandparents. I come from a Jewish upbringing,
Ah,
and so I'd always been brought up with the schmatter, as you would describe it. And I sat round the table with my grandparents, and they had a tailoring business, and I used to count the money on a Friday and so forth. And so when I left school, I was working as a Saturday girl in this shop, and I was really, really good at selling. So the man persuaded my dad, actually took him out for dinner to persuade him to let me leave school. And at 16, I was running his shop for him. And then at 18, the man four doors down from this man poached me from the shop and got me in his shop because could really, really sell. And then he asked me to go into partnership with him. So my parents lent me some money to buy the stock. I opened up a retail shop in Leeds. I brought diesel and replay into the north of England for women. And we had a soccer, which
wow.
you're doing all
Oh
right
yeah.
in the American. You were doing okay in the World
Oh
Cup,
yeah.
well, until you got kicked out, but you did do very well. We were all pretty chuffed with you. And so I had a very famous footballer's wife work for me. They were all shopping in my shop, and it really gave me my first taste of what celebrity and fame could do for your clothes, because the clothes walked out of the shop.
Wow.
And then I sold that company at 21. I set my second business up, which was a footwear business. We spotted a gap for sneakers. They were called Stride, they were fashion sneakers. We had 7 distribution channels, one of them in the States. They were actually called Pseudo in the States. And we had the shoes in the Design Museum as design classics. The Beastie Boys were wearing them. Robbie
Wow.
Williams was wearing them. I was like 24 years of age. And I sold the company to Caterpillar when I was 24. And then when my friends were kind of going to university, I was starting my third business, which was called Surgery Group. And that I transferred all my knowledge into what I would describe as building, renovating, and refreshing some of the most famous brands on the high street. So Wrangler, G Star, Superdry, Lacoste, kind of big fashion brands. I brought a lot of brands back that were dying on the high street and brought them back to exceed their former glory. And I got pretty well known for doing that over 17 years.
Wow.
And yeah, so then that was I that was my journey of building famous brands.
Wow. Yeah, that that is some journey. Would you say, I guess, so I know, I mean, it seems like there was just a, I don't know, it's like maybe you were just in the right place at the right time to get connected with the different people, and as your businesses started to grow, it just seems like people just started to attract to you, and you just continue to excel. What would you say, I guess, for maybe an entrepreneur that's starting out? Like, how could they scale their business? Maybe how you could do it. How could they do that?
One of my big beliefs is to be drive and determination. Um, Look, at every single stage in every single business, I have had a belief.
Mm,
I suppose I've always looked at that girl and went, I am going to shift the world into a new era. I'm going to build brands that are going to shift industries. I'm going to build the top 4 platform in the world. I'm going to build the most famous brands. And I have an absolute drive and determination. And there will be many, many, many people that will tell you you can't. It's not possible. You are not going to do this. You're either not good enough and you just need to go, and I'm going to do it anyway. And you really need to have that burning drive and determination that no matter what anybody tells you, you're going to do it anyway. And it's that razor sharp focus. Even when things are going so bad, I teach people that you need to live by your purpose, which is remembering why you're here, why
Mm.
you're on this planet, what you're here to do in the world. And then, really, when everything else is failing, if you're not earning the money, if you haven't got the orders in, the thing that will get you out of bed in the morning is really that purpose. And even from a young age, when I went, I'm going to be as big as Oprah Winfrey, I kind of had this drive and determination that I was on this planet to really make a big impact in the world.
Mm. Yeah, I think you have definitely made your mark. Uh, in doing that. And I guess in saying that, in saying that, and maybe we can talk about that later. But I was thinking as you were talking about belief and believing in yourself. I think that's probably one of the most important things. And I think I had that like number one. I actually did a poll on LinkedIn talking about, what do you think is the biggest contribution to your success? Is it believing in yourself? Is it the connections or relationships you have? And I can't remember the third one, but I think believing in yourself is probably one of the most important things that you. I mean, it has to be the foundation of whatever you're going to do. It has to be. What are your thoughts on that?
I think without living by your purpose, you will get swayed. And I know you did another podcast. I just heard you say your intro, and you interviewed somebody from was it Lancashire or Leicestershire?
Linkshire, yes, Linkshire,
Lincolnshire.
yes,
And you said about imposter
imposter
syndrome. And
syndrome.
look, being a woman, I get many women coming up to me. And when you live by your purpose and you have that drive and determination, I walk into meetings with that. I go into opening up connections and collaborations. And I believe that I'm going to make those collaborations happen. So for me, even if you get that inkling around, I don't know, people say to me, people have said that they feel like they're not good enough, or they're not in that room and so forth. I always teach people to kick that person in the back of the car, give that person a name. My lady's called Veruca. Kick her in the back of the car and tell her to shut up. And I'm driving the car, and just keep driving that car. But the main reason around that is living by purpose.
Yes. Oh man, I love that. I like that. And we're going to talk about your One Earth, of course, in just a moment. But yes, I love that, and I think imposter syndrome is definitely one of the, I guess, pitfalls to many people, many of us. I mean, I've dealt with it myself, but I think you're so right that you got to really kick that to the side because it's just like a mind game, just kind of just reliving
Yeah.
in your mind. But that is awesome, wonderful. Okay, so you start one business, or you're on your journey at 15. You start your first business, you start your second business, you start your third business, which was the surgery group. So after you start your third business, I was reading, it says that after being there 17 years, you walk away from the company after
Yeah.
17 years. So talk to us, tell us what was going on, what was going on with your decision in walking away from this company after being, of course, successful. I saw that you were doing interviews even on the news and all of that. But what was going on? Why did you walk away after 17 years?
Look, I was presenting television programs. I've always been presenting on BBC World, and yeah, I had a pretty successful agency that was building some of the most famous brands on the high street. And I have to say, one day I just kind of woke up and I was like, I'm not
Mm,
happy. I actually was really, really fed up. I felt like I've been doing this now for a good 17 years, and I'd lost sight of why I was doing it.
mm,
I felt like I was just making these businesses a hell of a lot of money, and for what? And I couldn't see myself getting out of it. And I felt like I was a bit bored. I could build these businesses with my eyes closed. I've been doing it for a long, long, long time. And yeah, I walked away. And people were like, in the same way when I left school, and people were like, what the hell is she doing? People were kind of like, what's she doing? She's just walked away from her company
Yeah.
and walked away from the market. But I didn't really feel like I had a choice. I felt like I had this. I looked at that girl that was age, 11, and I kind of went, nah, I've lost sight of where I wanted to be with that girl. So I swore to myself this fourth business was going to be around that girl, around shifting the world into a new era. I really wanted to kind of move the world on. I believed, that, what if we could shift education and health and manufacturing and retail and all the industry sectors? And what if I could create a place that would create unity, where people would come together and, and connect together and learn together and trade together and literally lead with impact and purpose. And I felt like I'd now learned, 30 plus years of building businesses. I'd never done anything else
Yeah.
with my life. And I felt like I could transfer all that knowledge into any industry sector. And I would teach people how to obviously drive the sales, the awareness, the valuation of their company up, but they had to lead with impact and purpose. I would not teach people unless they were going to switch over to purpose, growth on
Mm.
purpose. And I would teach people that wanted to be a leader, actually really lead the charge. And I was happy if it was, not the thousands of people. I was happy to go more for the smaller minority of people, as long as they were agitating for change.
Mm.
They didn't need to be
Yeah.
purpose. They just needed to be wanting to be
Wanted
purpose.
to be purpose. Wow. Okay. Yes. And so your fourth business, which is One Earth, and I just read it says it's not a traditional business venture, but a purpose driven movement inspiring global unity. And it says you realize you could not build any more businesses that were focused purely on commercial gain. So talk to us about One Earth and how that's going.
So One Earth is my legacy project. There's not going to be business number five, not like this anyway. Business number five, I think, will be like my retreat place with my horses
Yeah.
and yoga studio and all that. So this is kind of, this is the legacy project, 100%. One Earth, look, I'm creating the purpose economy is the best way of describing
Mm.
it. We are building a movement towards global unity. And my belief is that the consumer has already woken up to purpose. During the pandemic, there was a huge conscious awakening, and I kind of sat there. And before the pandemic, we'd had about 5,500 businesses go through the schools globally in
Wow.
America, Canada, Singapore, Korea, the UK, Australia, and so forth. And I visioned out in 2017 that I was going to create this online gamified world where people could come together and connect, learn, and trade. So, three platforms in one, and really enable people to lead with purpose and impact and create partnerships together so that they could trade together to impact change. And my belief is that everybody should be seen and
Mm.
heard, no matter where you live or the demographic that you live in. Everybody has a right to be seen and heard. And coming from my second business, the shoe
Yeah.
business, I learned about distribution. I had 4.5 years of setting up 7 distribution
Wow.
channels and learning on the job. Very difficult, very stressful at that young age, but it gave me an incredible grounding. So when I had my fourth business, I knew that I had to build a platform, because it wasn't enough to give people education, because still they were going to be living in wherever they were living, right? So it meant that even they could have the best education in the world, but they're still not going to get seen. So my platform was there to
Mm,
give people the opportunity to be seen and heard. So help people switch over to purpose, 21st century thinking, and lead with purpose and impact. And then the platform is there to help them trade. So you can be living in the BVI or Africa or Indonesia or wherever you are in the world. And you can come onto this platform and we can connect you with people. You can learn by switching your business over to purpose, and then you can trade with people
mm.
on purpose on the platform and build a movement so that you can impact
Wow,
change.
that is great. That is awesome. That and it's all driven by purpose, of course. And yeah, purpose
Purpose
economy. I
economy.
like that, and I think that's great. And I think you do give a. I think it does, and actually, I think because when I reached out to your people, they were saying, "Yeah, you should connect," and that is something I do definitely plan to do to connect to the one purpose. And but I think you do give a voice to those, like you said, everybody should have a voice. Everybody should be able to connect, and so you do give a voice to those that may feel like they're, nobody knows me. So like you said, you can connect to one Earth and actually connect with people from all over the world, which is great. But I wanted to ask you also, I guess, with you now creating the One Earth, what has the response been like? Like, what are people saying about One Earth?
So during the pandemic, we had a couple of thousand businesses come around us in 10 days, and they came onto the platform, and we helped them to switch over to purpose and lead with purpose and put their arms around their communities. And a lot of them got known on, like, they got put on like Channel 7 News and the Lorraine show here in the UK for driving purpose and not just building a business around their products and the benefits of the business, and moving from a linear business model to a circular business model. So giving back to the community and a percentage of the profits and so forth. And then we managed to then start building these cities. They're kind of
Mm,
mini Earths on the Earth. Remember, it's a
right.
gamified world where you come on and build an avatar and a house and so forth and connect your house with other houses on the street. So we built cities, which are mini Earths, and we had one with Julie King, who's from the travel industry. She's based in
Mm,
Australia, and she brought 47 advocates from the travel industry all together around reshaping the future of travel. So each network, each advocate has anything from 1,000 to 10,000 people in the network. So Cato, the Australian tour operator, opened a classroom for
wow.
380 of their businesses, and they switched over their businesses to lead with 21st century thinking, lead with purpose. Scottish Enterprise opened a classroom with 180 businesses, hit Scotland, 1,000, and they've started coming together to reshape the future of travel. We have another city that's the 10 global chambers. So Israel, Egypt, the Netherlands, Singapore, or Australia are all on that climate chamber city coming together to race to net zero. We have an agency city bringing 1,200 agencies together all around remodeling the future of agencies. And then we have a bee city opening,
Wow.
an ocean city, and they're all coming together to build movements and connect, learn, and trade to impact
Wow.
change.
That is remarkable and amazing and awesome all at the same time. I, I think, yeah,
I love those words.
yeah.
They're all great,
Yeah, but I know I
inspiring
think that's
words.
great because I think, and you said it earlier. If you're not working up with purpose, you're pretty much going to wither away. And I think when you try to be an entrepreneur, it can't just be about making money. It can't just be about maybe even getting famous. And I know for yourself. Well, I'm not in your shoes, but I mean, you've reached the pinnacle of fame. In where you're at, but even you saw that how you wanted to shift and change directions, and instead of just looking at uh being known commercially or being known famous, you wanted to be known for purpose. So I think that is awesome. So I want to ask you in regards to failure. What are your thoughts on failure as far as it being the process of true success? And maybe you can even talk about even maybe one of your examples of failure.
Look, everybody fails. You would never be an entrepreneur unless you didn't fail. In fact, you have more failures. I could list you about 10,000 failures if you want, probably having them
Yeah.
every day. A true entrepreneur
Mm,
fails. It's not about failing, it's about learning from the journey that you're on and being able to identify what is it that I learned from that. And every time, I mean, every day something happens with me where I go, oh God, that didn't work. Or I really thought that we were going to do that. And then, nope,
mm,
that didn't happen either. Or, we didn't bring the money in, or haven't raised the money yet, or whatever it might be. The best thing is, number one, have
mm.
self belief. So don't blame other people. We're not in the
Yeah.
blaming game here. That's, what you need to recognize is if you're ascending as a being, if you are wanting to become a conscious human being, you take responsibility for yourself and you take the learning from everything that you're doing in life. So I always go, even when I fell down the stairs one year and I'm like, why did I throw myself down the stairs? What learning did I need to get from putting myself on crutches? Or I broke my shoulder snowboarding and it was
Oh wow.
and I had to sit on the sofa for 8 weeks and it was just before the pandemic. And I sat there and went, okay, so I must need a
Hmm.
rest because there must be something that I don't know yet that's going to happen. And then the pandemic hit, and I've never worked so hard in my bloody life. And look, and then what I'll say is, I'll even use that as a reflection point. The pandemic hit. We were an offline business running business schools, and I'd been building my tech platform, but it wasn't ready. The pandemic hits, and I sat there and went, okay, I've got 1 week,
Wow.
1 week to try and remodel the business because all my schools are closed because no one can get
Right.
to a business school. So what am I going to do? Now, on one side, I could have sat on my tushy and gone, woe is me, and I'm just going to sit here and kind of lick my wounds and worry about the fact that we're not going to bring any income in. Or I sat there and went, okay, what do we do? How do I put my arms around the community? How do I just go and give? So we were pretty much I think one of the first people to go out and do webinars like 4 times a week in 4 different time zones. And we gave it for free for 8 months to all of our community, hence why they all came on the platform. And I decided, and there was an article, if you Google me, you'll see it. And it was in the Daily Mail, a big newspaper, and it was about stop selling and lead with the
Mm,
human response. And I taught people in the very first 8 weeks of the pandemic, all my businesses, can you imagine when they're
yeah.
dropping like flies and all their revenues going out the window? And I said, stop selling, lead with the human response. If you stop selling now and you put your arms around the community, they will come back and be loyal with you. And then you will have an amazing customer base. And it did. A lot of our businesses recorded record sales within 6 months of the pandemic hitting. But, that's just one example of you can have there's always two sides to a situation, and you can either go in the blaming
Hmm.
game or you can in reflect on yourself and think about what you can do
Yeah.
differently.
I definitely agree with all of that. And I think the pandemic definitely challenged all of us to try to figure out what we're going to do because even for myself, like it's something I guess I'm getting used to now. But even this podcast or even video, when the pandemic hit, we all had to figure out a way. Okay, we got to do some kind of online meeting or something. So it's like video was like a must. So yeah, it challenged us all to do different. So, all right. So let me ask you about being uncomfortable or comfort zone. So I'm sure you faced this. I know you just said it, and I hope those that are listening recognize that we all fail, right? And you just reiterate that. But Yeah, every
every
day.
day.
So I know there.
It's either in business or with the
Oh,
kids.
oh
You
yeah.
can take
We
your pick.
probably fail every day with the kids, definitely. Um, but no, I want to ask you about maybe you can talk about a moment where you were challenged as far as you getting out of your comfort zone. I mean, you started at 15, so maybe that was you getting out of your comfort zone. But maybe you could talk about a situation where that challenged you to get out your comfort zone.
It's interesting. I mean, on a daily basis, I think you get out of your comfort zone in different ways. And it can be something simple as having to have that difficult conversation with
Yeah.
a member of
Mm,
staff. Having to, there's been times when I've had to let people go, or you've had to have a difficult conversation with somebody because they're just not doing something that your expectations had thought they were going to do. And look, we all create these expectations around what goes on in our life. And sometimes our expectations are too high or too low or whatever. So that can be a hugely uncomfortable situation. More so in a way than me going and standing on stage and speaking to
really?
hundreds of people, to be honest. It can be more uncomfortable or difficult. And especially when it's
Yeah.
somebody that you love. When you need to, I know people will not have that conversation because they don't want to
True.
hurt somebody's feeling, or they don't want to have to say that to somebody. And I think that's harder daily in business than the big things, than walking into a boardroom, or, for me, like, because that's where you would kind of expect it anyway, that it's
Yeah.
going to be uncomfortable. So your mindset's in that place. It's the smaller things that I think are harder on the daily
Wow, that's
basis.
amazing that you say that. And actually, that was going to be my next question. Um, that you stated that it was more comfortable for you to talk to maybe somebody close to you that you love, which I can understand that definitely. Sometimes having those hard conversations, they are tough. Um, but I was going to ask you about public speaking because I know you're a speaker and you've done it. I mean, I was watching or following, and I saw that you were traveling from country to country doing all these speaking engagements. But as far as public speaking, what I'll ask, and then you can elaborate. But I think everybody has answered the same. But your thoughts on public speaking? I know it's frightening for a lot of people. And what about you? And I know you speak all the time, but do you get nervous? How do you fight the fears of being nervous, and how do you go about it?
Um, I wanted to be an actress and a singer always when I
Really?
was younger. So I've played the piano since I was 4, and I sing, and I dragged my dad around to every audition that you could possibly think of when I was a child. So I always, actually, when I was younger, I thought I was going to speak on stage, and I thought that I was going to I thought I was going to act and be on the stage. So I always say to my daughter, who is exceptional at acting, actually, she has a real talent, and I used to say to her, I thought I would end up on stage and be an actress, and I did end up on stage speaking to hundreds and
Yeah,
thousands of
that's
people,
true.
but it was as an inspirational speaker and not
Yeah.
as an actress. So that was one thing. The second thing I would say is that, look, there's two things. I came from a TV background first, so I did a lot of television stuff, so I learned my trade, I suppose, presenting television programs. And then I went on stage, and I had two gentlemen, one of them that died, actually. And in my very early stage of transitioning from TV to stage, this gentleman saw me speaking, and he went, "Oh my gosh, she's world class." And I was really raw at the time. And two of these gentlemen kind of took me on and guided me. One of them was an amazing global speaker, and the other one trained people on the stage. And one of the things that this gentleman said that I loved, and he died, was be more you. And it has
Mm,
always stuck with me. So when you go on stage, first off, the most important thing is preparation and grounding. So I will, prep. I will have what script. not so I never have a script that I follow on the stage, but I have my 5 bullet points, and I do rehearse, I rehearse in the sense of I know what I'm going to say and so forth. But when I go on stage, before I go on stage, I'm always in the room. I'm soaking up the energy. I'm sitting with people. I'm making eye contact. The night before, I'm always, or the morning of, I'm always on the stage before anybody's there, understanding what the room's like, how I'm speaking on the stage, what my positioning is on the stage, where the lighting is, how the lighting's going
Mm,
to shine, and so forth. And
wow.
then what I teach people, what I say to people, when I'm going on stage, I always make eye contact with the audience so that I
Mm,
can start, even when I'm walking up to the stage, start connecting with people and grounding my feet. So, really grounding the energy into the floor because naturally your energy is high and your adrenaline's running and the nerves are there. So, the best thing you can do is ground so that you don't go
mm,
too high too fast before you get on the stage, and then you land on the stage. And then the thing that always stuck with me was be more you, because
mm.
when you're on that stage, the most important thing is that you're more of you, because the audience will take on 80% of your energy and 20% of the content. So if you can energize the room and not worry too much about the lines that are coming out of your mouth, but actually the energy and the inspiration and how you're connecting with the audience, then you
Mm.
will leave the room and hopefully you'll have inspired them, given them some education, and you'll leave them with a memory around you being on that stage and what the impact is that you've had with the room.
Wow, that is some great advice on public speaking. I hope those that are listening really take that in. That's amazing. I like what you said. I don't think I've ever heard that you actually start connecting with the audience before you get on stage. I don't think I've ever heard that, but you start making eye contact.
I do it. I can be sat there. I mainly make sure that I'm in the room at least an hour before, and I'm already connecting with people whilst I'm sat in my
Mm.
chair an hour before I've even got on the stage. So when I get on the stage, I already have energetic connections with people. And when I stand on the stage, I can find the people that I've already connected in with.
Wow. Excellent advice. I'm going to take that in myself too. So that's great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that.
No
I
problem.
appreciate that. And I hope those listening, those public speakers, I hope you're listening. That was some good nuggets that she definitely shared. All right. So now we are to the point of some surprises. Do you like surprises,
Oh yeah,
Miss
go on. I
Lindsay?
love a surprise. I'm one of those girls that really likes a surprise on a birthday or something, much to the dismay of my husband and friends.
All right. Wonderful. Then I have some surprise questions for you. They're very
Right.
easy, but you don't know what they are because they're surprises. All right. If you could write a message to your younger self, what would that message say?
Don't be so cheeky to your mother.
I
Oh
had a feeling that would come
no.
up.
I was enormously driven as a child in all ways, and it's who I am. It's made me who I am today. But at the same time, now I've got my own kids, and
Hmm.
my son is 14, and in a year from now, I would have left school. And
Yeah.
I look at him and I'm like, whoa, you're not ready to leave that school yet, son. And my daughter, who is going to be 12, I remember being 13 and, I was on my journey and what have you. And I think I'd have had a little word with myself and kind of gone, okay, well, maybe just think about your mum and your dad and think about how you're going on that journey. But you don't, I'm sure your kids will be exactly the same, or people that
Oh
have
yeah.
got kids at home. So this time around, for me, I'm very open with my children. I try and create an environment with my kids where we are a solid unit, that they know that they can come to me, they can speak. I've probably been through it anyway, and just create a space of openness so that they can make their mistakes, do whatever they need to do, but at least I'm going to be there to hold the space for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. I can agree with that. Wonderful. All right. Next surprise question. Of course, I know you've already written a book, but this one I guess kind of relates to just you personally. If you could write a book about your life, and I don't know, you may already be writing a book. What would the title of that book be?
The purpose economy, creating a brand new world. One Earth, 1 billion purposes. It's the next book that I'm bringing out. And look, the main thing for me is um, the world is in disarray and it's not going to get in my opinion, we're going to have a divide in the world and so forth, and you're going to have a conscious awakening on one side and you're going to have another side that is kind of warring and maybe not at peace. And we really now need to come together more than ever, coming from a place. I came from a Jewish upbringing and so forth, so in a minority, and we need to just set all that aside, and
Yeah.
just look at each other as brother, sister, like we are all the same.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree. I mean, the world would be a much better place if we treated each other just like you said, as brothers and sisters, all God's creation. If we treated each other,
Yeah, all God's like we
that's right.
are one. We are one. We are here to create
That's
as
right.
one.
My sentiments exactly. I totally agree. Well said. Well said. All right. Last surprise question: Team iPhone or Team Samsung?
iPhone.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey.
Oh, I've
All right.
always been on Mac. I've never used a PC. So I've always
Really?
had an Apple Mac from when that, you won't remember, will you? I'm a bit older than you are. The blue one came out. The very first Apple Mac, it was a Mac Air,
Oh,
I
is that the
think it
ones
was.
with the
The big
with the
one.
big?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that big chunky
Yeah, I
one.
remember
And
that.
I had one of those, and I've never, ever, ever used anything else. I'm on my MacBook now. So obviously the iPhone goes connected with everything, and I got sucked in years ago, and I've never switched.
All right. Hey, there you
You?
go. All right.
What are
I'm a
you?
Samsung, but
Samsung.
I'm a Samsung. Now, I prefer the Samsung phone, right? So
Yeah.
I use the
Is that
Samsung
the
phone,
nice
but
flip one? The new
no,
one?
I don't have a flip one. No, I don't have the newest one. I
That
have
looks nice, that.
the Note 10. Yeah, it's nice. Um, but I'm more into, I guess, not the flip version, but I prefer the Samsung phone, but I do have an iPad. I do have a Mac. I love the iPad. I love that. So I say I'm the best of both. I have the best of both
Do they
worlds.
sync
I'm
up?
not a what's that?
Do they sync up? Sync?
No, no, no,
No.
no,
No.
no, 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 no. I don't think I can sync them. I haven't tried that,
Mm.
but I use most of my business stuff. I use my Samsung phone, but other than that, I do have Mac products. So, but Lindsay settles it for all of you Samsung heads out there, including me. She is a diehard Mac, Apple, iPhone person. So,
I
if
am.
you have any problem with that, you need to go to the UK to talk with Miss Lindsay. But all right. Well, hey, thank you for answering those surprise questions. I appreciate that. Okay, so we're gonna change things up a bit. I want to ask you a question about leadership. What does it mean to be a leader, and what are some of the attributes that a leader should have?
Oh, great question. Great question. Um, my platform, One Earth, was created for the next generation of world leaders. That is
Mm,
my vision. That was why I created this platform. I believe that business leaders will become the next world leaders. And the reason for that, I'm a trend specialist. So I go around the world and talk about trends and what the next trends are. And I realized that, we moved from celebrities to business leaders because TED Talk put business leaders on the stage and they turned business leaders into celebrities, and
mm,
everybody Googles everyone. So all of a sudden, everybody's already a brand. And then what I realized was that the Z
mm,
Gen, when I was teaching them, the younger generation, you no longer went in and said, how do you want to build your business? They were already building a business around a purpose and impact. So they'd go, yeah, I want to give coding to schools in third world countries. I want to help give people food and so forth. So how we think about a world leader is today is not what we will think about a world leader of in 10 years from now when the Z Gen are in the
Mm,
workplace. So business leaders will move to world leaders. And the term guru, which is an ego driven word that's from the
mhm,
90s, will be guru, which will be
mm,
moving into more of a spiritual guru, moving from a place of I, egotistical, to a place of we, which is all
mm.
around building a movement and moving into your inner guru and being able to lead us into a new era of trade, which was why I started my One Earth platform to find
Mm.
the next generation world leaders.
Wow, look at that. That is awesome, amazing. I mean, it's like you're already putting these things in place, or I guess years ago you were putting these things in place, and man, that's amazing. All right, wonderful. Thank you for giving your thoughts on leadership. I like to ask that question because I know people have different aspects of leadership. So, but thank you so much. Okay, so I want to, or I guess
Anyone can
you can
lead,
share.
by the way. It's not
Anyone can
about
lead.
being a celebrity or being a this or being a big influencer or being on TikTok or anything like that. It's about having belief that you can lead us into that next era. And the platform for me, I've got people that had a pet shop that now got 24 million followers on Facebook. Rodney Habib, who anyone wants to follow him, finding the cure for cancer on dogs. He came in my
Mm,
Canadian, he was a pet shop owner. I had a GP that now is, had a TV program, Doctor in the House. He's the biggest podcast in Europe. So it's not about that you need to be a big famous person.
mm.
Anyone, normal people can be the next world leader. This is about you having belief in yourself to build that business to be able to impact change.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that because there's a lot of people that struggle with self doubt, and they don't believe. They'll look at you. They'll see that, oh, Lindsay. That's easy for Lindsay to say. She's this serial entrepreneur. She's an author. She's a speaker. She has all of these things. But I think you just hit on the key. You got to have self belief and believe in yourself. Like you said, anyone. Lindsay said it. I believe it too. But anyone can be a leader.
Anyone.
So
We have, I would say 98% of the people on my platform are normal businesses from any industry sector. And they, in a normal world, would be normal people, but they are normal people doing extraordinary things in a normal world
wow,
because
that's
they've got
amazing.
belief that they will lead and make that change.
Awesome, wonderful. Yes, we have to definitely believe in ourselves. I mean, that's with anything, as an entrepreneur, even as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, you got to believe in yourself, to even, get from point A to point B. Well said, Lindsay. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so I want to kind of talk about some of your recent, well, one is most recent, one of your newest projects, recent, but maybe you can touch on, of course, like I said, you're an author, you're a speaker, you serial entrepreneur. You know the how to brand business. All these things. You also have wrote a book. So I want you to just kind of talk about your book, Brand Famous, and also most recently you just came out with a board game. So if you
Yes.
could just talk about those.
Oh look, I'm gonna kick off with my board game first. It was a massive passion project for me. I have wanted to teach families how to understand how to first off build their profile around a purpose, and then how to build impact businesses, and then really how to understand how to build a foundation that impacts change. And I decided what's the easiest way to get into the house. And I thought, okay, well, let me create a board game, a physical board game, so that I can get families playing round the table and coming together and learning together around the table. So it is an educational but very, very fun board
Hmm,
game called The Race to Impact the World. And you
look at that.
choose your profession. So you could be an artist, an economist, a YouTuber, an engineer, a musician, a sports person, zoologist, whatever. And you're creating your profile around what you want to be known for, So the engineer, as an example, is engineering a better society. And then you race around the game. So you first off build your Google fame, so how you're showing up on Google, and you have to
Hmm.
fill in your card. And if you show up with synthetic fame, like, Kim Kardashian or whatever, you'll lose points. And if you show up and you're doing something impactful with your profile, you will gain points. And then when you've filled up your card of your brand and your partnerships and your social and so forth, then you go to the next level, which is industry fame. And that teaches you how to buy impact businesses. And then when you've bought 3 impact businesses, the middle of the game then teaches you how to sell the impact businesses. And the one with the biggest foundation and the most impact points wins the game. So it's a blend between Monopoly meets Game of Life for purpose. And that's my
I like
game.
that.
The race to impact the world.
Okay, let me get a screenshot of that. Hold that back up. I want to get a screenshot of that. Yes. All right. Thank you.
So you can buy it on amazon.co.uk or racetoimpacttheworld.com, and you can buy it. We can sell it internationally to anyone.
Man,
Great one for
that is awesome.
Christmas, for the Christmas stocking.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that and check
Yeah.
it out. Definitely. Wow. Okay. Awesome. All right. So tell us about your book that you
So
authored,
my
Brand
book,
Famous.
Brand Famous, I wrote when I was leaving the consumer world. I'm actually now writing my second book. And this one, I really wanted to pass on my knowledge of how to build a famous brand. And what I'd done was really help businesses to understand how to build an ethical business model, how to build it from the brand through to the products, through to the channel system, through to the sales process. So I taught people the difference between brand versus branding. And branding's like the logo, the look and feel, the visual tone. And I don't do branding, by the way. And I build brands. So I teach people that your brand is your business model. And you need to build a business model end to end that's an ethical business model. And then I teach you that you can create a famous brand by leading with your brand, your impact, your purpose, but driving the asset, the valuation of the company, and then driving it into the revenue system, the product, the channel, the sales. And the book very much helps you to teach you how to make that happen. And then I turn that into the curriculum that's on the One Earth platform. So you can come on One Earth, you can sign up to an audit. I think it's £335 for the year, and you can audit your business for growth. And then there's classrooms with live classrooms that people can teach you how to audit your business and then how to build your business out.
Awesome. Yeah, I was kind of reading through the book, and it looks like it has some, of course, some great information. And definitely, I would say to those, definitely check out that book. It has some great information in how to brand your business. Some keys, definitely. And so awesome. Thank you so much
No
for
problem.
sharing that. And I'm gonna make sure that into the game too. I'm gonna make sure that we put those links in the show notes
Thank
for
you.
your game. Yeah, oh yes, and for the book as well, just so that people will be able to see it. And if they want it, definitely they can reach out and get that. So
It's on my
awesome. Thank you so
Instagram
much.
as well, so I think you can buy it off my. I mean, it's on all sorts of places, but on Instagram as well. On so if you just go on Linzi Boyd, my Instagram, follow me anyway, and then you can. There's a little shop on there.
Okay. Yes, definitely follow Lindsay. She's worth it to follow. Definitely. I'm already following. So
Yay! I'm
yes,
following
make
you
sure
as
you
well, I
follow.
think.
All right. Okay. We're almost done here. But if you could, what is one of the most important lessons you've learned on your journey that you can share with our audience?
My daughter did a talk on it for her school and came second. I can. It's the only thing that's going to help you to get through life. When people say you can't, you have to say, I can. And like I said, if you build it around your purpose, then it'll get you out of bed in the morning. But you will get being an entrepreneur. And look, I've never been anything else but an entrepreneur. So I know that journey very, very well.
Mhm.
It's tough, people will tell you you can't many more times than tell you you can. Some people will be jealous. Other people will just believe that you can't because they can't think big enough or creative enough, whatever it might be, or just believe in your absolute soul that you can. And I always say to people, it's not dead till there's no pulse.
Mm. Oh wow. Okay. Love that. I would have to put that out there as one of the highlight videos that we do for this episode. Man, that is some excellent advice,
I
man. But
can.
yeah, I can. I think that I mean that describes and defines this whole episode. That you got to really believe in yourself, and I think you made that definitely. You said that you got to believe in yourself. I mean, that's the key to anything, any success. I mean, if you don't believe you can, you won't. But you definitely got to
And
do that.
allow yourself to have a big enough vision. People have always said to me, whoa, your vision's so big, you want to do, and I'm like, why not? If Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or somebody like that was sat in front of you, how would they be behaving and so forth. And I always believed, I can. And if you have a big enough vision, then you can really drive that vision and then have that belief. And then look, you'll learn how to do it. You'll bring the right people around you. There's not, give yourself, one of my very good friends said to me, give yourself the big enough problem to solve with your brain, and your brain will solve it.
Wow. That is awesome. Wonderful. Man, great advice. And and as you've already said, Lindsay, as she already said, she said she's failed several times. She's failed more than she's had success. But you gotta believe in yourself. You gotta believe I can. That is a way to definitely end this show. But I want to say to you, Miss Lindsay, man, this has definitely been a pleasure and a treat. I am honored to have you on
Thank
as a
you.
guest. And I want to say I appreciate your time and your advice and your information and your knowledge and your wisdom that you have shared during this episode. I'm hoping maybe in the future we can bring you back and we can talk about some other stuff. I'm
I'd
sure
love
there's a
that.
whole lot of, yes, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. But ladies and gentlemen, the great Lindsay Boyd, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you all on one-earth.global. And come and see me and become a citizen of the earth.
Yes, and actually, yes, that's what I left out actually. For you to just, I guess, share your links and your socials where people can find you and connect with you.
Oh, thank you. One-earth.global, one-earth.global. And then Lindsay Boyd on Instagram is the main one that you can get me on, or LinkedIn is a brilliant one as well. I mean, I'm always on LinkedIn and I'm posting nearly every day on there. I mean, I am on all the other social channels, Facebook, Twitter, and what have you, but they're the main ones. But come and see me on one-earth.global.
All right, and again, yes, we're going to share that in the show notes of this episode so that people will be able to just go directly to it. But again, thank you so much, Miss Lindsay, for dedicating your time to us today, ladies and gentlemen. The great Lindsay Boyd.
Thank you.
Thanks for visiting the 24 Hour Boss Podcast. Be sure to visit our site at www.24hrboss.com.